Warren at 8:58, Fayette Corners at 9:02. And we'll check out the hail once again and continuing to see that potential for some hail even now out ahead of it. So just north of Arlington, could be seeing some hail within this storm. And of course, if you have any pictures, please send them our way. Of course, if you can do it safely, but you can see the hail size within that over 1/2 inch. So certainly you want to be inside with this storm. Very isolated severe weather that we've had in place for today. We've got a cold front that's moving across the area and it's been interacting with all that high heat and humidity. So some of these storms have certainly been able to flare up quite a bit with the atmosphere that we have in place being pretty unstable with all the heat and humidity across the area. Now, as I mentioned, this is the only warning. We'll look back off to the west just to see if there's anything else that is coming. And it looks like after we get rid of this particular cell, we may be quiet for a while. As I mentioned, there still could be some showers that linger into the overnight period. We still have that front moving across the area, so that certainly will be possible. And we did have a couple of storms south of our coverage area, and there it is, just some plain old showers there, and that's all moving off toward the east. So that's not going to be an issue for us. Again, it's this cell right here that we're watching. Still got some rain showers as well right around Covington and Brownsville. Nothing severe with those. They are letting down some downpours though over portions of Crockett County. Again, all shifting off toward the east along that front. But this is the main area of concern, and we continue to see a lot of lightning and heavy rainfall with this. We'll put the lightning tracker back on once again, 86 strikes. So that is down somewhat. Could be a sign that the storm is weakening, but we'll continue to watch it. Let's check out the scope to see. And thankfully nothing in the way of rotation, but could be dealing with some gusty winds within this. And so again, this is something that we'll continue to watch. So at this point, it's not a threat to life or property, but we're going to keep a close eye on it. Certainly very loud as it's moving across your area. And also, again, a lot of heavy rainfall. So it could be producing some ponding on the roads there. This is going to be shifting eastward, as I mentioned, towards Summerville. So we'll take a zoom in once again. Oh, let me put that back on. And of course, it's doing something else here, but we'll zoom back into the storm. There we go. And again, you can see where it's going to be tracking. Right now, Lakeland, it is moving into your area. A lot of that heavy rain is on its way. Arlington, you're in the throes right now of the heavy rainfall and plenty of lightning. We're seeing more lightning just as I'm speaking right now. And again, so that heavy rain getting ready to track over I-40. So certainly you'll want to be inside if this storm is headed your way. Let's put the tracker back on once again. And we can see those approximate, oops, I'm going to have to draw this again. Let me clear this out. And we'll draw it one more time. Here we go. Right up along that edge, and we'll extend it out. And there we go. So you can see those times there on your screen. These are approximate times. Hickory White, 8:43, Griffin, 8:45, Oakland, 8:50, Warren, 8:55, Powers, 8:57, Summerville is at 9:01. And Whiteville at 9:05. And we actually heard a lot of rumbles of thunder as this was moving just to our north right here in Midtown. Didn't get any rain from it where I am, but definitely very loud with all this lightning that is in place. We'll take a look at the scope once again. And yeah, seeing maybe some brief gusts with this as it's moving eastward. Now making its way out of Bartlett at this point and right over Lakeland. So let's move in real tight here and see if we can take it in a little bit closer. Galloway, definitely seeing the heavy rain, as well as Bolton and Brunswick. Going to be moving out of your area here shortly, and lots of heavy rain tracking right up along Highway 70 there. You can see all the lightning, of course, associated with that. We're going to move out just a bit. And again, this is in place, this severe thunderstorm warning. It is in place for Fayette and Shelby County until 9 o'clock. So just about another 20 minutes on this or so. Again, those rain rates remain on the very, very high side. Check that out. Very high rain rates just to the north of Lakeland, almost 2 inches per hour. So likely getting some ponding on the roads out there with some of that. Definitely not something you want to be driving through, and still seeing a lot of heavy rain as well to the north of Arlington. You can see just over 1.5 inches per hour. This is how much rain would fall if this storm sat over your area for a whole hour. Thankfully, it is moving off toward the east. And then we look at some more of those rainfall rates, and well over 1 inch. So much rain falling with this. We'll check on the hail once again. And we still see that potential with this storm. And that is getting ready to move over Highway 70. So again, if you are in and around that area around Arlington, you could be dealing with some hail with some of this. So we'll turn this back on and zoom out just a bit. We'll put the tracker on one more time. And I'm going to track it on a little bit of a broader view here. And we'll pull that out and extend it, maybe get a few more communities in there. Powers now 856, Fayette County right around 905, and then you notice in some of the same communities as it's continuing to impact those areas already, like Lakeland, impacting that area right now. So we have just this one isolated warning that is in place until 9 o'clock. Otherwise, things are starting to calm down. We're starting to lose the heating of the day. We certainly have had some very isolated storms throughout this afternoon. And as I mentioned, even though we are losing the heating of the day, I think that threat for severe weather will continue to diminish, but we could carry a few showers or maybe an isolated storm into the overnight. So don't be surprised if you do hear rumble of thunder or two overnight tonight. We're likely to see more chances for showers and storms as we head into tomorrow afternoon as well. It's all going to be with the heating of the day. Got that front moving across the area, and it is going to stall out some. So we are in for an unsettled pattern over the next several days. In fact, there is a low risk for severe weather for tomorrow afternoon. So we'll be watching that closely. But today we had a little bit of a higher risk. Tomorrow the risk is going to be a little bit lower, but not out of the question tomorrow that a storm could be strong to severe. So all things we'll continue to watch. So again, we are watching this storm right here that's making its way out of Shelby County. Still seeing a lot of heavy rain though in eastern sections of Shelby County and western Fayette County. And we've been talking about those rainfall rates that have been on the very high side. We continue to see the heaviest rain now moving into Fayette County, 2.3 inches per hour with that area that's in western Fayette County there. So that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain starting to shift off toward the east. And we put the radar back on and we'll check on that lightning once again. And let me draw that there. And you can see 67 strikes. So we haven't seen that go up. That is some good news. So it means that the storm is likely maintaining strength, and hopefully we'll start to see the lightning coming down as we continue to lose the heating of the day. The big picture as we zoom out once again is that we have this one isolated severe storm. Things are quiet in North Mississippi, eastern Arkansas. No longer are we under that severe thunderstorm watch that has been allowed to be canceled. That canceled at the top of the hour, so at 8 o'clock. But again, we're still seeing just some very isolated severe storms popping up right here in the Mid-South, and we are still tracking some strong severe storms in Middle Tennessee as well. But I don't think we're going to see a whole lot from here. As I mentioned, we're losing the heating of the day. That front's continuing to move across the area, and most of what we're seeing is not severe. So still some showers around Haywood, Crockett County, nothing severe with that, but it's this one cell that we continue to watch. Still in place, the severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette and Shelby County for just about another 15 minutes, so until 9 o'clock. As I mentioned, thankfully, this storm has been mainly producing some heavy rainfall, lightning, and the possibility of some hail. Notice the area of heavy rain looks like it's shrinking some, so that is some good news. We'll zoom in and take a closer view here. And again, a lot of this is starting to shift off toward the east and not seeing as much widespread heavy rain as we did when we first got on to tell you about this storm. So still got some heavy rain though, Lakeland, and also on the east side of the storm, seeing some heavy rain that's getting ready to make its way over I-40. But again, that area seems to be shrinking, which is some good news. Let's put the lightning tracker back on. Let's check on that once again. And I think I'll redraw it to make sure I have all of the area within the screen, because it'll give us a better depiction of what the storm may be doing. So I'll make it a little bit bigger there. And yeah, it looks like it's maintaining. We had about 67 strikes when I checked just before. Now we're at 64, 65. So it looks very similar when it comes to that lightning. But again, the area looks to be shrinking quite a bit. So that may be a sign that it is weakening. We'll take a look at the scope once again and see what I'm seeing. Nothing in the way of rotation, but again, could be producing some gusty winds, especially on that leading edge as it's moving into Fayette County. Let's put the tracker back on once again. If you're just joining us or just coming in, we are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning that's across portions of Shelby and Fayette County until 9 o'clock. We'll extend that out some. And again, Hickory Wythe continuing to come up at 850, Eads at 853, Oakland at 857. If you live around Oakland Elementary School, it's going to be impacting you right around 857, Somerville at 901. Hail continues to be a threat with this, and the info showed us that the hail size was right around 1/2 of an inch or a little bit greater, and this is estimated by the radar. We'll pull that a little bit forward so you can see it a little bit better, and you can see the history of the hail that it may have produced back into Shelby County. Now some of that is making its way into Fayette County. Let's put the radar back on here. As I mentioned, this is all tracking off toward the east, and we'll have to watch to see if this gets extended, but it looks like it's maintaining strength, and hopefully it will start to weaken some. Let's look at those rainfall rates once again, because that is pretty typical of what we've been seeing with these storms this afternoon. And notice the rainfall rates still well over 2 inches. So much rain falling from this storm. And we'll look at back south of Arlington, also seeing some very heavy rain there as well. Close to 3 inches. So much rain with that too. Could be dealing with some ponding on the roads. Thankfully, this is moving eastward, so it's not going to sit. But if it were, this is how much rain you would get, and that's a lot of rain being let down from this storm. Let's put the radar back on once again. We still have that warning in place. The heaviest rain around Lakeland, and now shifting into Fayette County. Let's zoom in, because there's 2 main areas of heavy rain. You can see one here, and we'll zoom in there. Right around Braden and Longtown, dealing with the heaviest rain. It's getting ready to head toward Lambert, so if you're there, get ready. You're going to hear the lightning and as well as the heavy rainfall headed your way. And then we'll pan back a little bit and talk about that other area if we could. Let's see if I can get that to pan on back here. And it looks like it doesn't want to do that for me. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. And you can see that other area where we're also seeing the very, very heavy rainfall. And we'll zoom in right there. And there it is. Now that's moving out of Lakeland, but definitely impacting I-40 there. A lot of heavy rain there. And let's track that. We'll put a tracker on this southern section of the storm that is producing a lot of heavy rainfall. We'll just track the heavy rainfall there. Okay, so it looks like Wells School, if you live around there, you are looking at that heavy rain headed your way. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can maybe get a few more communities on the board as we track this heavy rainfall. We'll put the tracker back on. See if we can get a few more areas to pop up. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better, right? So we're looking at, if you live around Memphis Visitor Center, at 8:49, so just about now. Wells School at 8:51, Field School at 8:55. If you live around Pilgrim Church, you are looking at 8:55 as well. Belgrove Church, if you live around Belgrove Church, it'll be about 8:59. And we'll clear this off once again. Let's zoom out some. There we go. So we're dealing with this one isolated severe storm that looks like it's starting to weaken some. Let's check out the lightning once again and see where we are on those strikes. I'll draw it nice and big here. And it looks like 44, but I want to get the whole cell within the screen. We'll draw it. There we go. Looking at 56, so that is a little bit better from what we saw just a few minutes ago. We were in the 60s, so it looks like it's gradually coming down. And with that latest scan, it looks like it is continuing to shift a little bit more towards Somerville. And we'll zoom out just a bit. And it looks like this warning is still staying in place for just about another 10 minutes or so. So we're going to just continue to watch this very closely. Let me pan back just a little bit more, and we'll start to track it more into Fayette County. So let me put the tracker on once again, and we're going to track the whole storm here. Take it all the way back down, and we'll pull this out. Okay, and there we go. There's some communities. Somerville at 9:05, Bartlett right around 9:06, Germantown at 9:10, Tune at 9:22, Fisherville at 9:27, and we'll see if they extend that warning a little bit farther toward the east there. So far, it's not looking quite as organized as it once was. We'll look at it through the scope. Put that on the screen, yeah. Not noticing that it's strengthening at all. And the hail tracker, we'll put that back on once again. And yeah, it looks like it's producing some hail, as we mentioned before, so that's still the case. We'll pan this on back to the west a bit. And notice we're getting some indications of hail too, just south of Brownsville. We'll put that, clear that off and put the radar back on here. And again, this warning remains in place until 9 o'clock. So just about another 9 minutes on that warning. As I mentioned, we're still getting some isolated severe storms because we still have the very high humidity in place, although the heat is starting to wane with the loss of daytime heating, but still enough energy to produce some isolated severe storms. And as I mentioned, even though I think that threat for severe weather is going to go down the next half hour, we still could see some lingering isolated storms and showers that may linger into tonight. Not anything widespread, but it's going to be, once again, very isolated activity of what we have been seeing throughout much of the day today, all thanks to the high heat and humidity and a front that's pushing its way across the area. That front will give some relief. It's been doing that in the form of some rain. We've had some areas that have cooled off significantly because of these storms, but many areas also stayed on the hot and muggy side. Thankfully, the trend overall over the next several days is that the numbers are going to go down, but it is summer after all, so we are going to remain nice and sticky throughout much of this week. I'll put the scope back on there. And again, not seeing that this is a very strong storm, but it's one that, of course, we will continue to watch. Let's pan over once again. And notice those areas of heavy rain tending to shrink, with the exception of the one on the south side of the storm. This one's still holding together pretty good and showing a lot of heavy rainfall. So let's check this to see if that's gone down any. And just a little bit, but still over 2 inches per hour. So still a lot of heavy rainfall there. And I'll track just that portion and show you where the heaviest rainfall is going to end up in the next few minutes. We'll pull this out at around 25. And here's where the heaviest rainfall is going to be tracking. Oakland and just about at 9:05, Warren at 9:10, Summerville at 9:17, Fayette County at 9:18, or 9:18. So get ready for some very, very heavy rainfall. Let's turn that radar back on. And we still have this severe thunderstorm warning in place for Fayette and Shelby County, although most of it is tracking outside of Shelby County. Most of that is starting to track into Fayette County. So if you live in western Fayette County and you're north of I-269, you're going to be dealing with this heavy rainfall and lightning. Let's once again track the lightning and see where we stand when it comes to that. And looking a little bit better, 30, but let me draw it a little bit bigger here. And we'll see how much we really have. And we're looking at about 40 strikes. So that has gone down, which shows me that this storm is likely weakening. And you can see it already doesn't look as organized with each frame. So I think this warning will probably be allowed to expire at 9 o'clock, if not before, but we'll continue to watch it. Let me just pan over just a little bit here, and we'll zoom out some as well. And again, not much left when it comes to storms across the Mid-South. Still tracking a few showers here around Crockett County, a couple of downpours there in Haywood County. Got a couple of downpours there. We'll zoom into that. But nothing in the way of severe across Crockett or Haywood, just tracking some moderate rain south of Brownsville, getting ready to go over I-40 toward Hillville. So that's what we're looking at with the two of those cells. And again, the main one is the one that we're continuing to track that's now moving out of Shelby County and mostly into Fayette County. Just another few minutes on this warning. But again, I think this has weakened significantly. So I tell you what, I'll continue to watch this storm, but I think we're in good shape. Heavy rainfall and some small hail possible within some of this. Lightning starting to go down, but if things start to rev up again, of course, I'll be back on to jump in to give you the warning and of course track it as well. But for now, I'll return you back to whatever you were doing before you joined us. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be back if I have any more warnings across the Mid-South.